you a home grower looking for a little bit of help? Are you ready to learn as much as you can about your favorite hobby? The Homegrown Helpers brings you informative interviews from experienced growers that have taken the next steps in their journey and decided to help you grow top quality cannabis all in your home. Now welcome in our host, Rob Smith, along with this week's Homegrown Helper.
What's up, everybody? This is your host for another amazing week of grow advice. This is Big Chris Part 2, as I hinted at last week. And, I was just listening to this episode again and going through it and putting my thoughts down and wanting to, recap really well. And this is probably one of my most favorite episodes so far. And the reason is we talk all about failures. Chris wanted to structure an interview around some of the biggest mistakes that he made, how he overcame them, how he kept pushing the ball forward. And not only are you going to learn a lot about growing, because the biggest lessons come from failures, but we wrap it up with what it takes to keep pushing through those failures. And I think that's really hard for some people to do. And in growing cannabis, you are going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have issues. But it's so rewarding to push through those and get to the other side that, we wrap it up, and I just want to urge you. I just finished listening to that part, and I just want to urge you again. And first, push through those mistakes. Growing cannabis is such an amazing, amazing hobby, skill to have, enjoyment, whatever you want to call it. So Chris is back home. We caught up right at the end of March before, as things were getting really crazy, and he's home from Hawaii. And we jump right in. We don't need to go over any of the introductions or anything. And it's all structured around mistakes that Chris has made, from IPM and, as Chris puts it, things that he's done before that really bit him in the ass. And things that he wants to cover, what he did with mites, what he did to prevent them in the future. Going through bottled nutrient after bottled nutrient after bottled nutrient, jumping from this thing to that thing, which that I would be a big opponent. I'm going to say don't jump from thing to thing. It's not worth it. And then, we wrap things up with the conversation about what it takes to keep pushing things through. We do reminisce just a little bit about both Chris and I lugged water for a long, long time. So I'd asked him what is the item that is most critical to his success in the garden. And, it all pertains around lugging water and how miserable that can be. So I got to tell you about my friend's website design business. It's cannaplanners.com. My friend Will, who was one of my very first contacts in the cannabis industry. It's a long story. I'm sure I'll get into it later. But they're doing the redesign for the GrowCast website, and we need to give them a shout out, give them some recognition. And if you are in the business for a new website, some SEO work, marketing help, design, logos, any of that stuff, Canna Planners is the place to go visit. Go visit Will, Kate, tell them Rob and Jordan at GrowCast and the Homegrown Helper sent you. These guys do amazing work. They designed the Alice Plant Trainer website. They designed the Rooted Life website, and they are redesigning the GrowCast website. So that shouldn't take them too long, matter of a couple of weeks, maybe a month. Can't wait to show that to you guys. And then they can get started on the Homegrown Helpers website. So visit them at cannaplanners.com and make sure you let them know that I sent you. The other thing that I need to let you know before we kick you over to the episode is Jordan and I are going to be going live this Saturday night on both of our Instagrams. It'll be live from Jordan's. I'll be joining him from the Homegrown Helpers. We have a big announcement. We have some amazing things that are happening here, and that's where we're going to share them with you. So head on over to the GrowCast. Let's say it's 9 p.m. Eastern time. So 9 p.m. Eastern time. Head on over to the GrowCast Instagram. go into the live, check us out for the big announcement as we have some amazing things coming down for you. Now let's get into this trials and errors show with my buddy Chris. And welcome to another amazing episode of the Homegrown Helpers, guys. I am here with a return guest, Chris from Southern Maine. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, buddy. We, chatted for, I think, like 45 minutes before, and you walked away feeling like you had so much more to say. You were in Hawaii and needed to get going to work. I wanted to be respectful of your time, but we did go a little bit over. So I wanted to have you back and give you an opportunity to share the rest of your thoughts and advice that you had.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anytime you talk about cannabis, my ears kind of perked up. So I'm totally glad to be back.
Yeah. And we love, having tips and people that are going to give practical advice to other growers. That's, what we're here for. And that's what we do at the Homegrown Helpers. So helping other home growers get better.
Awesome.
So why don't we start it off? And, this is going to be kind of a learn from my mistakes show. And Chris wanted to run down a detailed list of some of the biggest mistakes and how he overcame and learned from those and made sure he didn't make those same mistakes again. So we are going to kick it off with, a talk about IPM and some of the mistakes Chris made, getting to where he is now with his IPM solution. So kick it off, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on some of the things that I've done before that really bit me in the ass. I've lost up to 8 plants before due to spider mites, and all because, I kind of narrowed it down to one or two things. One, I wasn't being clean enough, and 2, I was allowing people into my grow space. As a newer grower, I would always, oh, look at this hobby. These are, of course, people that I trusted, but I would say, oh, look at this. Look at what I'm doing here. Look at what I'm doing here. And everybody would love it. But I was bringing so many, friends in that I just really couldn't say that everybody was clean and as precautious as I was. So what ended up happening was I started seeing the little bite marks, from the top of the plant. You can see the miscoloration. And then by the time I seen that and I started looking more and more, I found more and more of an infestation. Some of the things that I did right away, as most of the online community does, is I got online and researched how to get rid of them. I did like a mix of dish soap and water. Finally, what I ended up getting to was this Dr. Zyme stuff. Worked out great. It knocked it out really, really quick. I would say I started seeing everything gone within a week or 2 weeks. It was freaking phenomenal. I was able to save some plants, some of my younger ones that were in veg. And then I was able to clean the rooms completely. And it seemed like I got rid of all those. The big thing I learned from that was, growing, your grow room is for growing, not for showing.
Nice. I like that.
To keep that IPM down. So between, the cleanliness of me not bringing people in, a product that I put down, and a few other things, just overall cleaning and better airflow, all that stuff, I was able to knock these pests out, and now I don't get to deal with them. Well, at least for now.
So talk to me a little bit more about what you did after using the Zymes. Like what kind of, troubleshooting or, looking over your plants did you do to ensure that you had eradicated these spider mites? Because, when you're online and looking for these solutions, a lot of people tell you just to burn down your room.
Yeah.
Like you're never going to get rid of these off your plants once you have them. You're better off just starting from scratch. And so talk to me a little bit more about that process and disprove that burn down your room theory.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for leading me there. It helped me out. So I actually changed out my whole process. I would grow lots and lots of plants. I would grow, 12, 13 plants in veg, but I'd only be flowering 2. So a lot of times I would have too many plants and I wouldn't be paying enough attention to them. So, I thought to myself, well, I got to be able to pay attention and spot these things early before the infestation happens. I want to be more of a proactive than reactive type attack on these. So I cut down my limit of plants so that way I can see and tend to them better. So that was huge for me. Also, just, one of the big things that helped me out was a shop vac. It's establishing a shop vac that was here in my grow room for me to clean on the spot just made it easier, and I was less likely to leave a mess around there for feeding these pets. So definitely the cleanliness of the room, cleaning up the dead plant material, that was a change of process, limiting the amount of plants I had. I don't have to necessarily max out the plants, the type of growing I do. I don't grow for money, so it's more of a hobby. So that helped me out quite a bit. And then the big thing, which was a lot of online research with Cocoa for Cannabis, a lot of Growcast listening, a lot of homegrown networks when we used to have the different panel. All of that stuff led me to greater airflow to make the parasites and all the problems, make my environment less likely for them to want to live in. So more airflow on the plants, a cleaner environment for the plants, and of course the Dr. Zymes was a big thing.
Cool. Nice rundown there. Thank you. So I think the growing, not showing type of thing is a mistake that a lot of growers, start off by making. And you can show off your grow room or get advice if you do need it. But what I would suggest is maybe encouraging your friends to take off their shoes and their socks and maybe tossing them a pair of, gym shorts and an extra t-shirt that you had kicking around. At least make sure that they, didn't just run through a field of hay or go into another grow room or that type of thing. I mean, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I think that's what we're talking about here. But I think that's a mistake that a lot of new growers make. So what I'm trying to say here is don't beat yourself up too much, I guess.
Gotcha. Thanks.
So we wanted to transition a little bit to your nutrients, and a couple things here. We want to talk about, the shiny object syndrome and also making things too complicated. So Chris, why don't you start us off with talking a little bit about the nutrients, all the nutrient lines that you've been through and how long you stuck with each. Can you give us that kind of rundown?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So right now, I've been running this product here. It's just like the the advanced nutrients 3-part, the normal bloom, micro, and bloom, micro. Waiting for the last one, sorry. And grow product. So I run that. That's my normal. And really, I stumbled upon that. And the way I stumbled upon that is kind of one of my lessons learned. I used to grow with the psychronutrients, which a lot of people have heard. Nothing bad about that product. I just can't give them honest review because I changed it up. From there, I went to Fox Farms. I did their products. I thought those were great. But guess what? I never finished it up. I followed the shiny objects of when I walked into a grow store or I read something online or even out of a High Times magazine or a Maximum Yield magazine. I would just chase the label without researching what I was buying. So I ended up spending a lot of extra money that I probably could have used elsewhere more efficiently in my grow room, in my hobby. So where I ended up now is with that advanced nutrients 3-part. I do some extra stuff on the side for the flower, but that's where I'm at with that. All to be, I say this lesson learned, but sure enough, I'm trying something new in my flower this run, where I'm using, which we've talked about before, is I'm using a lot of micros. One of the things I'm using right now is a Roots Organics Terp Tea, and I find that to be giving me phenomenal results. So I think I'm going to stick there. I also plan on doing, like we've talked about before, my own compost and doing that stuff, feeding, just like that. And that's what I'm hoping on eventually landing on and being done with all the other third-party products.
So that's a lot of products. You kind of sum this up for me and the audience. And what's your piece of advice here? Like, the big thing about, mistakes is how to learn from it and what you would, take moving forward. So what's your advice from somebody that's been through this?
Well, obviously the best plan for a grower is what fits their budget. So find whatever they want to use, whether that's Fox Farms or these advanced nutrients or cytonutrients, or there's so many of them out there. And find your price point, your entry level, and stick with that for at least a couple of harvests. That way you can see and work your way through. If you can continue to afford that product, or if you can afford more, then, expand out, but make sure that you're understanding what you're buying. It's not, don't just pay more for the sticker. Don't just buy the newest and most updated product just based off of, the company's marketing. See what's going into that plant. Do your research on what the plant needs. That's a huge thing there. And then get your products once again based off of that and the market point.
So I'd like to toss in, some advice here, and it would be, don't change up too many things at one time.
Yeah.
See a process through. If you start something, finish it. Follow one course until success is an acronym for focus. There's lots of opportunities to try different things. And if you want to try different things, maybe do it on one plant. Chris, you have 2 plants. So, trying it on one plant is going to be difficult. But maybe, in an experimentation phase, you grow smaller plants and grow 4. So you can try out 2 different things on 2 different plants.
Yeah, actually, I can relate that to something I enjoy doing is I enjoy teaching baseball and pitching. And I have a lot of kids come up to me, high school age kids, college age kids come up to me, and they want to change multiple things at once.
Mm-hmm.
And then they expect results right away. It's very hard to see that. So if you're changing your pH and you're changing the nutrients, you're changing your medium, you're changing the light, you're changing the environment, it's hard to say which one did what.
Right. I mean, it's impossible to say which one did what, not just hard.
Correct. And, to go back to the sports thing, it's the same thing with my pitchers, right? If they extend a little further, if they don't go full over the shoulder and they go to a 3/4, if they grip it this way, if they do, it all changes, and I can't help what we're trying to fix if we're changing everything.
So we're going to chat after this just a little bit about baseball. I am missing baseball. We're 2 days away from the old opening day, and
oh yeah,
we're recording this where I don't know where you're at. I'm 9-10 days into quarantine.
Yeah,
where it's trips to the grocery store and that's pretty much it. How many days are you?
Yeah, same here. Yep, cannabis man comes around. That's the only visitor.
the cannabis man, like
a delivery.
Okay, well, you grow your own. What are you getting delivered?
Well, sometimes you got to switch it up.
Oh,
I don't do
fair
any
enough.
of the extracts.
Fair enough. Okay.
I don't do any of the extracts. So some of the dab stuff like that, we like picking up.
Cool. Awesome. Good for you. You should. Have you ever thought about getting a small rosin press and pressing some of your own flowers or washing some of your stuff?
No, totally. My mind is there. It's just I'm not there knowledge-wise yet.
Sure.
I have done zero research there. I am all about that. Seeing that product go all the way that, advance that far, I'm all about it. I just haven't been able to research and see where I would even enter. So,
well, we're just going to take a quick break for our sponsors right here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the mistake that Chris made when it comes to temperature control and making sure that his environment was dialed in. And then we're going to wrap things up with the must-have items that Chris thinks you need to have in your grow room as well. So when we come back with Chris, one more time. Hey guys, I got to take a break and tell you about this show's partner, and it's Diamond Cut Co. Now, these guys reached out directly to us to thank us for our continued support and your continued support. You guys have been amazing with them, showed them tons of business, and that's what it's all about. We want to partner with amazing products that you guys love. So we're going to do something great for you guys. They wanted to do another giveaway. They're going to give away another 10 pairs of scissors from Diamond Cut Co. All you have to do is head on into the link in our Instagram, growcastpodcast.com/giveaway or giveaways or linktr.ee/growcast. All of that will get you to the giveaway. It starts on, it looks like the 21st of May. So right as this is going live and runs for 2 weeks. Enter in, get your chance to win one of 10 pairs of scissors. We're going to do 10 winners again. And if you want to just buy one, head to diamondcutco.com. Premium trimming scissors that were made for your hands. and hours of trimming. Use code GCM as in Mary or member 15 to get 15% off at diamondcutco.com. And we are back. Thanks so much for listening. And I'm just going to take an opportunity here to throw in, if you enjoy what you've heard so far, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. And the only way we really grow is if you share this with a friend. You know, everybody knows somebody that is looking to start growing. So let's help them out and share some of this knowledge with them. So Chris, tell us the process of getting your room dialed in and the mistakes that you made when it came to, you know, temperature and I'm sure humidity control is linked in with that.
All right, you got it. So as a rookie grower, my excitement level was kicking in, and I ended up getting seeds, getting, you know, everything set up in a grow tent except for air exhaust. So I grew and I grew and I grew, and then I started seeing all the temperatures continue to rise. I ended up growing some amazing looking plants that were completely burnt on the top. I was growing under a 600 watt HPS actually, and I didn't have enough of a setup to do a veg side and a flower side, so everything grew under that HPS. What ended up happening was light burn like crazy, root rot like crazy because the temperatures were so hot. And I basically, in order for me to get my room dialed in, I had to wear it on the face and fail. And that really hurt me because, you know, you're getting into a hobby. You don't want to fail right off the bat. A lot of people can tell you, you know, they've had beginner's luck and they've grown, you know, 5-6 ounces off of plants like nothing every time or their first time, you know. And that definitely wasn't me. You know, I think I may have got maybe a quarter of an ounce off of 2 plants back then. And I've greatly increased that with my failing. Some of the other things I did, or the things I did to improve that, where I'm at now is, you know, I have thermostats in my room. I have complete filtered external air source blowing into my room. And that's huge. So when my temperature gets high, no matter what it is, the first thing I want to take care of is get some fresh air in the room that comes from outside. Living in Maine in the winter, that can be really, really quick. In the summer, it could take a little longer, or you might even need an AC. That temperature control was huge because once I was able to establish both a solid temperature and a solid source of air if needed, I was able to get my plants and my environment in the VPD zone, which was huge because, I mean, once I was there, once I got those parameters set, you can find the VPD chart with a friendly Google search. But once I was in the zone, I started seeing how much more my plants were growing and how much more, because I grow DWC, how much more they were eating, both of water and nutrients.
Awesome. So what kind of steps have you taken now to ensure that your room doesn't spike and get really hot? Besides the air controls, any monitoring, anything like that?
I don't have any of the external monitoring like software or anything like that.
Okay.
I do know a few growers who have that, and obviously they're professional growers and they do amazing. And I would like to get there someday. I just haven't been able to justify it just yet. You know, right now my hobby keeps my smoking habits down, costs down, and it keeps my smoking habit expenses completely invisible. And that's about it. But I really would like to get into those external software programs to help me monitor. I see a lot of them online. Haven't done the research yet to really get too serious into it. I do have both, like I said, the air control. I do have an air conditioner and a space heater. You know, I think every home in Maine has probably one of those space heaters lying around. And it's all thermostat controlled. It sends power when it hits this, and it kills power when it hits that. And that was the big win for me, you know. The other thing that took me longer than expected was overall time, meaning I had to run the lights, you know, see what a full light cycle was like before I could dial it in. You know, I had to see what the highs were and what the lows were and when those were. You know, that was huge for me. So time was a big thing, and patience, you know, like every grower will tell an upcoming grower, patience.
So really great advice there. I'm going to throw out, you can get a control unit, or not a control unit, but a monitoring unit for like $100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Friends of ours at Coconut, Kokonaut, are coming out with their second version. You can use code GROWCAST and save yourself a little bit. I don't remember what the deal is because, they've been working on the second version for a little while now.
Yeah.
But you can pre-order it now. We're just getting ready to launch things, so I figured I'd throw this out there.
Awesome.
Use code GROWCAST at Coconut. I think it's just coconut.com. Yeah. So that has a smartphone app. If things get wild, it can, let you know. The other thing is that if you have the expendable income, and not everybody does, the intake from outside is usually pretty good. But if you're using a tent and you have a basement or something like that where the air is cooler, you can just cool the air outside of the tent and then bring air into the tent from that cooler space. So it's kind of like a lung room,
Gotcha.
that you're filtering the air into, so you're not taking it directly from outside and sending it into your grow room, which also helps with pest prevention. Let's wrap things up here, Chris, with some of your must-have items for the grow room. For those who've been listening to the show for a while, I used to ask the consultants in the first phase of this podcast, what was one item besides you and the canvas plant that you must have in order to be successful in the grow room? And I'm interested to hear your answer. What is the one item? And then we can talk about some of the other must-haves, but what's the one item besides you and the cannabis plant that you must have in order to be successful?
I believe the one item I would use is you must have a water source. You have to have a water source. That was a mistake that I made before. I was lugging water back and forth, and it just made the hobby not as fun. And I finally got sick of it, and I ran my own water line specifically for my grow room. And it's been, it's changed the hobby so much for me because the chore of making water, getting it ready for your feedings and all that stuff, having stuff on, even available just to wash things down, to wash your hands, to be like, that is huge. And I wasn't doing that before. I don't know of a lot of growers that either do or do not. I think that's one topic I haven't really come up with when I see a grower. But yeah, I think having a water source is huge in the grow room.
So I couldn't agree with you more. Do you remember specifics? Can you share, was it a flight of stairs, 10 gallons at a time? Like, walk us through it because I can share my specifics and I want to see where we line up against each other.
Yeah. So my first experience with this mistake and not having that item was just regular Home Depot 5-gallon buckets, carrying those up and down. From where I was growing before was a basement without everything. And my only water sources were either outside, which doesn't work well in Maine winter, or upstairs, which is a flight of stairs and a good 20 feet walk to the other side of the house to the kitchen. And your wife's bothering you because you're making the kitchen dirty and,
because you're bringing dirt up from the basement on your shoes.
Yeah, you're probably feeling pretty good. You got the music on, and it's just that heat. You don't need those bogeys on your tails.
Right. So very, very similar story. I would regularly have to carry between 40 and 50 gallons up and down the stairs. It was one flight of stairs, but then it was quite a walk, the way that we designed the grow rooms into the grow rooms to feed things. And, while we were in the basement, it was, I'd have 12 to 15 plants flowering. I had 6,000 watt HPS down there and then a veg room. But to make that 1,000 times worse, we ended up putting a sink down there. But then we built the basement. And, longtime listeners of the show know, it was 20 lights in 3 different rooms. When we were finishing construction, it was the middle of winter. So we couldn't run water, but I had one room open up there and the basement was still open. So it was trucking water from either in the house, all the way out the house, through the breezeway, out to the back of the garage, and then up a flight of stairs into the rooms, or from the back corner of the house in the grow rooms where that sink was, out through the basement, up, half a flight of stairs into the breezeway, into the garage, up a flight of stairs, into the room. Well, not in the rooms because you had to mix it up there still. But man, I do not miss those days. It just hit me how miserable that sounds. And it was, you didn't ever walk up the stairs with just 5 gallons because you were lopsided, and I'm sure a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So
I know that very well, actually. Shout out to all the bubbleheads out there.
Right.
They know what that is.
So 5 gallons of water is 40 pounds in each hand. And going up and down those stairs 4 or 5 times definitely was miserable. Man, I don't miss those days. Don't miss those days at all.
Oh, yeah.
So, Chris, I think this was a really good episode, but I'd like to wrap it up on a really strong point. You've said a couple times throughout the show that you failed a lot at the very beginning, but you stuck with it. And I think that critical point is something that is worth reiterating. And can you share with the audience? Like, I think a lot of people, if they can look back at, different times in their life and say, oh man, I failed a lot and then I stopped. What kept you going and, knowing that you could get on the other side of the failure?
That's an awesome question. Well, I think part of life is failing, right? And we don't grow if we don't fail, because then we don't have nothing to learn from. What's really kept me going, and this is something that I deal with in southern Maine, New Hampshire area, is I'm new to this area. I don't know this area well, and what I do see here is a lot of unfortunate people hooked on bad drugs, and one of the things that's really helped me is cannabis. I have, I am a veteran, and I have different problems in life, that I think most people can either say they've heard of or know something about or someone with. And what cannabis does for me really helps me with those issues. I think if by me becoming a grower and listening and participating in podcasts like this, it could kind of help the green movement and help us fix each other. That's from my veteran community. That's from, some of the people that are just have bad luck or have made poor decisions in life and are having tough times. And it doesn't help when you have medical issues with that. And I really think that cannabis can help a lot of those problems. And I think that's what pushes me. I really do enjoy the hobby, but there is really nothing better than, especially if you're a grower, smoking your own product and feeling a sense of relief from whether it's anxiety, stress, or just happiness. You don't even have to have those. If you just want to be happy and enjoy it, and why not be able to do it? And I think by growing our network and, encouraging people and showing and sharing with people, I think we can get that done.
Great. I think that is the perfect spot to wrap things up. Did you have any other thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience as we say goodbye?
No, I really enjoy this. I appreciate you calling me out again.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere, Chris.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to. Trust me.
That's right. We're all on lockdown.
Yeah.
Speaking of lockdown, I got some great products and stuff getting done in the grow room. So if one thing Corona 2020's gotten me, it's got me on top of all my chores in the grow room.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm actually gonna release an episode exactly about that, and I think Jordan did on Growcast, things that you can experiment with and tidy up the grow room, make sure things are clean. So
yeah, do you mind if am I able to do a little plug before we end here, please?
Sure.
Just some of the guys that have helped me and pushed me along, in the southern Maine area, you might want to check out the Southern Maine Sugar Shack, and make sure you always he's always delivering consistent products, so make sure you always pay forward with guys like that. I got family members out in California, and the Inland Empire that are always helping me with. I feel like there's the California divide, the coast divide between West Coast and East Coast, and I think both places grow some amazing weed. Yeah,
I think that divide has started to fall apart. I see a lot of crossover. There's tons of crossover now, so especially in the legal industry. So.
Yeah, I'm actually growing right now seeds from California that were praised. This is the best we got out here. Of course, as everyone's going to tell you.
Right. Well, cool. Why don't you say goodbye and we'll get out of here. And audience, thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.